Okay, so Chump and Jamie have decided to make a video here just to kind of show you what leg lengthening is about. Chump is at day 57 post-op surgery, and you can see he's still lengthening right now, 6.8 centimeters, and he's riding the bike. He's been riding the bike now for about 10 minutes, and soon you're just going to be able to see what his mobility is like at 6.8 centimeters of lengthening, how he can walk, the strength of the nail that Dr. Guichet has inserted in his legs. And also we're going to show you 4 different types of techniques for clicking, because clicking is one of the largest challenges of leg lengthening. Clicking is a technique of the albizia, a steel rod that's inside the leg. You have to turn your leg at a 45-degree angle, and which allows the nail to adjust, and it moves at 1/15 of a millimeter for every click, completing 15 clicks a day. Now Chump has been clicking at 1 millimeter after 3 weeks after post-op, so he's still doing 1 millimeter per day today, so he's quite ahead. So at 57 days at 6.8, you can do the math that he's 11 days ahead of somebody who would typically be only doing 1 millimeter a day, so not including the extra clicks that Dr. Guichet gave him at the time of surgery. This is what's really quite amazing, is that you can actually walk around with the albizia, and he's got 2 broken legs. This is the amazing process of the trick, and you can see how close his legs are together. A little tiny bit on the tippy toes, but can still walk quite comfortably. This is going to be one of the biggest single differences you see between Dr. Betts and Dr. Guichet. The reason why is Dr. Guichet is using one of the best tempered steels for the nails, versus Dr. Betts is using a modified version because he can't get a hold of the other nails. And this is what allows this kind of weight bearing for the legs. This would actually seem almost impossible for any of the patients that are at the Betts Institute. I think he's going to probably do a little bit of showing off here. Now, we're going to keep the video flowing the whole time because I actually want you to hear the physical clicks so you know that for sure he's still lengthening and he's nowhere near consolidation. Consolidation is the terminology that's used when the bone actually becomes solidified and it's hardened. So right now, both of his legs are still broken, and they're still very fluid. Oh, you can do some dancing. What I find interesting about Chump's dancing is that Dr. Guichet said that somebody who was leg lengthening was actually dancing every weekend, and it just seemed ludicrous, but obviously it's possible to do that. All right. Okay, so Chump's now ready to show us some stretches. Now the stretching is very, very important. Dr. Guichet recommends that you do a minimum of 10 sets of stretches per day, and he wants you doing 5-second holds at the beginning of leg lengthening. Once you get past 5 centimeters, he highly recommends that you do 3-second holds on every stretch. Now, because of Chump's flexibility, he can still do 5-second holds on each stretch. This is the first stretch that stretches out the lower buttocks and the inside hamstrings. Now you can see Chump is straightening the leg at the end, and this is very important to watch out for knee flexion. Knee flexion is when your knee actually gets a permanent curve on it, which you're going to see a little bit later on when you watch me, Jamie, do my stretching. His flexibility is incredibly better than mine is because Chump had spent 2 years preparing for this operation, more specifically 6 months of intense stretching and training, preparing his body to handle the lengthening process. To my chagrin, he's not going to go to 10 centimeters, but his body could easily take it, and you can see he's walking perfectly fine at 6.8 centimeters. So the moment that he stops clicking, he's probably going to be able to take his crutches away. Okay, so right now he's using a tension bandage, and this is another very important exercise for straightening. Now, this exercise right here involves stretching your hamstring. It's a 3-second hold to a 5-second hold. So it's pull back, flex the knee completely straight, and then hold it as long as you can. But remember, do not hold when you're in the lengthening process anything past 5 seconds, because it's extremely easy to rip your nerves or a blood vessel, or even pull a muscle completely. So it's very important not to overextend the stretch. You can see how high he's getting off the ground. When Chump first came here before leg lengthening, I saw myself that he could actually move his leg in this angle higher than 90 degrees. Right now he's probably at approximately 70 degrees, which is unbelievably amazing because of the fact that you've got all this extra leg lengthening. You see me do that same exercise. I'll be lucky if I get 30 degrees off the ground. This exercise is really important for the tension side of your leg, which is a band of muscles. And the importance of doing this is that you have a tendency when you're leg lengthening for your leg sideways. And by Chump doing this, it's very important that you do this exercise. And you can see that he's pulling it over with the tension bandage just a little bit past the left ankle. Another very important exercise when you're doing leg lengthening. Every exercise that you do should be always involved in 10 of each. And we're just speedily going through them so we can get into clicking. Okay, now this is first one of click. Here is we're going to show you several different techniques. Now this is going to be very, very important for people that are leg lengthening because doctors don't seem to have every technique down pat. And you're going to find your muscles tighten up in weird spots. And as you leg lengthen, you constantly have to change the way you click. And this is because your body gets used to one way and it starts to damage itself. So we're going to show you the distance here of how high this is. Now the book manual says that it should be 30 centimeters for clicking. Now you can see here that it is just under 20 centimeters. So we're doing an 18 centimeter elevation. And you can see it's pretty placid. You know, we're just using some cushions. And it's just for simple comfortability. So this is going to be the actual click. So what happens here is that you spread your legs out as far as you can. So he's at maximum leg spread right now, which means his legs are spread apart as far as they can be. He's twisted his ankle just slightly towards the in part. That's why his hand's there. It's holding the leg back, pointing the toes towards the away from his body. Now what he needs to do is he's going to start to slowly push the knee forward, down, until we hear a pop. All right. And you can see it basically just had to move about 1 inch because he was already at, or 3 centimeters for you Europeans, because he was already at a spot that was already basically at a click. Now this is also very important, that's not in the manual. You can see the way Chump is doing some stretching. If you do this in between your clicking process, it's very important because that click you just heard just stretched his leg 1/15 of a millimeter. So by stretching it a little bit further, it's getting the nerves and the soft tissue a little bit more used to the fact that he's going to click. You hear the reverse click, so we're going to try to focus on that for this next time. So again, he's pulling it back as far as he can. He's already in position to already click it. He's just going to move it slightly. And there it is. Now the first click is generally the hardest, just so you know, because that's the first one that you're breaking up the bone. Did you show the reverse click? Or did it already happen? Okay, so it was pretty fast. Okay, so that's 2 for the right leg. Now the left leg, the Albizia is kind of crazy because they only make one kind of Albizia. So that means that if you're clicking with your right leg, you have to go one direction, but when you click with the left leg, you got to go the same direction. So one leg always becomes easier than the other. I think maybe the Albizia, they should have made a left and a right, because then they could have made it very easy to click. Now what this means is that the right leg, the one that you just watched, is actually the most difficult leg to click. That position that Chump was in puts a lot of strain on your muscles, and it's also very flexible. Now you're going to see the left leg, which is actually quite a bit easier. Now you can see this, really the only reason why he's got this this cushion here is just for support. This kind of, the left leg doesn't require anything. You could click it if you wanted, just sitting anywhere. Okay? So this is technique number 1. What you just heard was a little click, and now this is a big click. And that's all there is to it. So wouldn't it be nice if the right leg clicked like the left leg? So he's doing the same thing, just doing a couple little warm-up stretches. And then we'll show one more. So this is the little click, and it goes, and then the big click. And that's all there is to it. Because Chump is lengthening at 1 millimeter, which is 15 of those a day, it's spread up into 3 increments. So 8 o'clock in the morning, and 8 hours later at 4 in the afternoon, and then the next time Chump is going to lengthen is going to be at midnight. So every 8 hours, it's extremely important that your leg lengthens. Big mistake other LLers make is the fact that I'm just going to, okay, I've repositioned. Okay, this is another technique for clicking. Now, I've seen other people on the LL websites do this type of technique for clicking. Now, we're going to show you this one because maybe your legs are too sore and moving it into that position hurts. So you can do another one where you're sitting on a table and then you got an elevational difference of, if we measured it, you'll just have to take my word for it, we're at about 25 centimeters. So what happens is, Chump is going to put his leg, he's just going to bend his leg in forward and click it in that direction. So this is the more difficult one to click, so he's just bringing it in. Now the nice thing about this technique is it does put a lot of strain on your left leg because you got to bear all your weight on it. So he's using his left arm to kind of support his weight. He's got his butt a little bit on the table to just take a little bit of the pressure off his leg, but he's just allowing his right leg just to kind of fall into the clicking position. So that's what we're going to see, and he's just putting the smallest amount of pressure on it with his right hand. You never want to force the click too much because you can risk bending a nail. Alright, let's do it. And that's all there is to this technique. Do you think you could do one without touching the leg? How you can actually do this click without touching. Chump is going to show us how you can do a click without touching your leg and just letting it fall. Excellent. So we're at 4. He's got one more to do, and then he's completed his session of clicking. So it's 5 again, 3 times a day, which completes to 15. Just letting the leg fall down in a nice relaxed position. So remember this technique when you're finding yourself very, very sore. You can just let the clicking or the legs fall into place. So it requires a little bit different of an adjustment. Again, the left leg requires a different kind of manipulation. It's a whole different direction. So he's just doing the opposite of what he did in the first place. It's always little click first and then big click second, but that's only when you're clicking your left leg. The right leg is big click first, little click second. What's interesting about the stand-up technique, you'll probably find that the left leg is harder to click this way than the right. So this might be a good thing to do if you're having problems clicking. Maybe use the lay-down technique to click the left leg and then use a stand-up technique to click the right leg.